I would like to hear from the rapporteurs what has been the, let's say, key points from the group discussions. First, I'm going to give the floor to my colleagues that were part of the moderation or co-moderation, and started with you, Urszula, already on the screen, for the group one on innovation, economic development, and diversification.
Okay. I don't know if I can very briefly. Thanks a lot, Patricia. I would really like to show that the work we have done, but I'm not sure I'll be able to do that so quickly. Otherwise, yeah, maybe let's try. We had a very rich discussion. We had a discussion where we identified a number of challenges where we could find solutions on linked to the development of funding. One was the group of issues was really linked to education and skills, and a little bit also awareness raising. And we found the skills of producers, of course, the skills of service providers, but also this gap of communication between producers and providers and consumers. They can be addressed. There are a lot of solutions, and we had already a lot of examples on that. The second group of issues is the issue of funding, and that not only the funding is limited, but also timeline of the funding is limited. So the solutions that can extend the period of funding or make sure that projects can use funding over several program periods. Also solutions about cascade funding, solutions to adding value to local products that can also help the producers, that providers get more funding, were mentioned. And somehow at the crossroad between those two issues, the education on the one hand and the funding on the other hand, we found this whole group of topics related to the destination management and the role of LAGs, local action groups, which can be involved here, and they are an important intermediary. They can play a big role both in the funding and in the education and skills. There was, however, a plea that LAGs and also the decision makers should listen more to the entrepreneurs and give them more freedom and allow them to act when they want to act. What we did not manage to digest during the discussion, but there were also found quite a lot of points about collaboration and the importance of collaboration. So I grouped these during the break. We didn't have the time to bring this, but it seems that collaboration remains a very, very important aspect. Collaboration with local governments, between the different types of providers, with the farmers, and so on. One challenge that we did not find solution for, this is what I will close on, although it's not a very optimistic point, is this issue of bureaucracy and the issue of even when we talk about LAG support and LAG funding, and the LAGs themselves are trying to find, let's say, better ways to address and provide support to their beneficiaries, but the bureaucracy and the complexity of the delivery systems can be a big barrier, and remains a big barrier still. And some people even say that it can get worse and worse all the time. This is it from our group.
Thank you, Urszula. Hopefully that bureaucracy can find some simplification. Let's see. But multi-funding, cascade funding, more freedom for entrepreneurs, the importance of the collaboration, this link between the producers, etc. Let's move to the second one, to the group discussion on community participation, cultural heritage, destination management. What were some key takeaways, Pascale?
Thank you, Patricia. I'm sharing, I would say, the cluster key ideas. Firstly, in terms of challenges. One key point that has been discussed is about data monitoring, assessment of impact, so the capacities to collect all this data to see the concrete, I would say, impacts of the tourism actions. Another point, it's about the skills of stakeholders in several, I would say, angles, which is about management in general, building partnerships, networking, facilitation skills to engage with the different stakeholders, with the community. We have also heard about, but it was before the group discussion about digital and green skills in the presentations before. Another point that has been mentioned as challenge is the trust between the stakeholders, the importance of bridging initiatives, which is not always in the culture of working with the different stakeholders involved in the tourism development. There is also linked to the cultural heritage, the identification, the capacity to valorize the uniqueness of tourist places in the right way. And as well as for the previous group, the access to funding for small skills organizations, SMEs, the importance of having simplified rules and access to the different fundings. I think that Klaus has mentioned this morning the COSME initiative, which was probably more adequate for this kind of local initiatives in tourism area. In terms of concrete recommendations, which are, I would say, the answer or linked to the challenges. The first one, it's about the development of networking models of collaboration and co-creations. We have heard about hubs, cross-sector approaches, sharing between peers. Linked to that, let's say it's a third point here, it's the sustainable development models, putting the local actors in the center, valorizing bottom-up approach. We have also heard about the importance of local action groups to be driver in all these issues that you have mentioned before, the smart communities. Coming back on the second, I would say, post-it, we have heard a lot about the importance of developing long-term visions, integrated and holistic strategies based on local context, and again, to valorize the bottom-up approach. And as we mentioned before, in terms of issue, to develop the capacity to collect data on different, I would say, actions developed and to measure the impacts of those actions, including what we have heard in the group, the community awareness.
Thank you, Pascale, for this comprehensive report back. Third group, climate-friendly, resilient, and sustainable rural tourism. Enrique, what would you say the main key points from your group?
Yes, a lot of overlap, so I will focus on what is specific from our group. Vision in a holistic vision, a participatory way, really important. But perhaps what is different is that what is challenging when we talk about climate resilient tourism as kind of a niche is really changing the mindset and changing the status quo, existing lobbies, existing practices, etc. So a lot of work needs to be done around that to build capacities about these different concepts and these different actions that imply to work in a more climate resilient tourist way. For instance, regenerative agriculture tourism. What does it mean? Not everybody knows what is the difference between sustainable tourism, regenerative tourism. So you need to build a lot of capacity with all the actors in the area. Okay, the use of practices, good practices, examples can inspire others to start taking action, coming in to try to build this vision together. So that I would say it's something that differs from others. We talk about as well infrastructure, because when we need to facilitate first that the area is a place for the locals to live, but also that it's easier for the visitors to come and live. Okay, so when we think about tourism, we need to think as well about the infrastructure. We also tackle the issue of finance, also related to innovation. So finance should be related first with your vision. You need to finance what you want to achieve, what the impact you want to get. Second, the difficulties. So the cascade funding also emerged here. The use of intermediaries to kind of take over the heavy load of applying for funding, all the administration behind, and use the cascade to really go for and divert the funding to the small players that do not have that capacity to work and apply. Here, a particular example as well was LEADER. They mentioned that in some countries, LEADER can only work in relation to agrotourism in farms, so that they can play a big role, for instance, animating, communicating about potential financial opportunities for the small actor, but in some cases, their role is restricted. And even the same comment was shared, sometimes in some places, applying for LEADER fund is not that easy. So perhaps there was a comment of balancing out the requirements between depending on your size. So it's not the same requirement you should put for a bigger project or a bigger company or organization that smaller ones should apply. And the last point is data, the same as for you. If you have a vision, you need to measure what you're trying to achieve and the positive impact you try to measure. Particularly relevant when we talk about climate resilient type of tourism.
Thank you, Enrique. In our group, there were some interesting resources about data, some toolkits from the United Nations Tourism that we will be happy to disseminate because it can be particularly relevant for this challenge that has been mentioned throughout the webinar. So thank you to the three rapporteurs. I would like also to thank you to the key contributors we have in each group, Eva Katsaraki, Claudia De Luca, Ibrahim Ahmed Aboud, and P.S. Metz, that were also presenting more complete examples in all the group discussions, really to drive the ice-breaking conversations. Thanks to everybody for contributing and for the comments in the mirror. Now I would like to go back to our initial stakeholder panel of EU networks of experts that have been working on sustainable rural tourism, from the economic, for all these topics covered today: economic diversification, innovation, climate change, sustainability, cultural heritage, and creativity. So I would like to welcome back to stage Klaus Ehrlich from RURALTOUR, Nancy Duxbury from the ENCC project, University of Coimbra, Piotr Michalowski, European Network of Cultural Center, and Vincent Nijs from NECSTouR, European Radios for Competitive and Sustainable Tourism. It's about to be the end of this webinar. We've had a morning with a lot of exchanges, some practical examples, some presentation at the commission level. We are in a timing moment, and it was announced there will be some consultation. So what I would like to ask each of you is to, if possible, in around a minute, to say what will be your key takeaways, or even if you have to call for action that you would like to send, especially for European Commission and EU actors on the way forward to support tourism as a driver for sustainable rural development. I might go in the same order than before, perhaps. Klaus, would you like to?
Yeah, ready, steady, go. 1 minute or 1 minute 30. First point, and it creates a loop, I think, what was said in the first session. We come back. Rural tourism is a multi-stakeholder thing that requires working in the ground with very different small individual stakeholders. And this requires a local destination management or cooperation structure, whatever kind it is. I gave the Austrian example, but there could be others. I think that's the core thing. If we don't find stable structures that operate at a local level and can create the critical mass to project the services and the resources of one area to a wider market that can spend days and maybe weeks there, we are not getting anywhere. We will always depend on the weekend visitor from the next city. And this is not enough. First point. Second point, from the work groups, I said it there already, we need, when we look at implementation on the ground, a more market business-driven approach. Is frequently, there are nice ideas which are really beautiful. Everybody loves them. But like happens also with many European projects of whatsoever kind, and I know European Commission will kill me as well, but as soon as the funding stops, the project is end and over and nothing more happens. And this is not an efficient spending of resources. The viability, and let people decide what they want to do, help them to do what they want to do, but don't put them into a too tight tight corset of whatsoever regulation, local planning, etc., because it just kills the really innovative people. Frequently, you get the sustainable efforts and initiatives are those that less funding received when they were kicked off, just because the entrepreneur wanted to do it and they had a conviction and they managed. And the final message, I feel the Rural Pact is the ideal platform to bring different views, different stakeholders from the rural development, from the farming, from the regional policy, and why not extending to other DGs that have their say in the topic when we talk about a territory. And in the end, it's not an activity. It's a territory. It's a territory that faces big problems of depopulation in most of its part in Europe. It's a territory that is important for the European overall sustainable environment, and we need to make it alive, keep it alive by creating new initiatives that can keep people there and keep innovative people there. Not just keeping people there subsidized, but people earning money, because this is what drives people to move to another place, that they have a better living than where they are currently. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Klaus, for those key points and call for actions. Nancy, what would be your takeaway and call for action, if any, as well?
I agree with Klaus's comment, so I won't repeat anything like that. I think just to echo that, yes. I think on one part, we've heard a lot about how we need to enable small and micro enterprises. I've heard it described elsewhere as like a cloud of flies or bees, and to connect them in some way that is more than just collective visibility, but is a real community of practice where people are learning from each other. And part of that is this development of sustainable partnerships and collaborations and ideas from others. I think as part of that, I think more attention should be spent somehow from some direction on how you move these projects and case studies and one-time sort of experiments that happen within so many projects to something that can be more sustainable. Perhaps that's through collaborations and partnerships and creative thinking and external advice in, as well as local communities embracing things. But I think it's not really scaling up, but there's something about, there's a lot of waste in all of these wonderful initiatives just not having a sustainable platform at the end of a project because there isn't time to attend to that. I think related to that, and this is the last point, is there's a phrase called against the waste of experience. And I hear a lot of people mentioning how there's a need for data and there's really a need for knowledge and knowledge building. And I realize how many projects and experiments are out there. And there's been so many rich examples given today that we hear about, but it's not consolidated in some way that we are learning from what's happening and moving onward. And I just wanted to put a plea in for an approach that we're taking within the In-Situ project, which is about community engaged research, which is building long-term partnerships and approaches and building capacity within the communities to be fully involved in this data collection, making knowledge out of it, and working with researchers in an ongoing way, not just in a project way. But I think data is a huge issue that we're finding as well within our research, the lack of data on cultural agents and other things. But more than that, sort of building knowledge, I think, in a collective way that involves the communities, involves the players, that builds over time to a greater whole.
Thank you. Thank you, Nancy. Yes, all these collective knowledge sharing and data collection. And in your case, for Nancy and Piotr, as we said in the morning, you are the coordinator of this recently created community group on culture and creativity, which is meant to create already a platform on those. And as Klaus mentioned, but we will be repeating this more. We know that also some people are connected late. There is really already now a core group of people led by RURALTOUR that are going also to create a community group on tourism. We hope that this proposal will go through very soon, and this means that we will be communicating to all the participants when this is a reality, so that the conversations can't, this is not a one standalone webinar that we organize, but throughout the community group, hopefully we are able to create more interactions, encounters, sharing of information and collective intelligence on the matter. Just as a point. Piotr, yes, please.
Thank you so much, Patricia. And maybe then from the reverse order, we so much welcome once again everybody to our group, because that will be a possibility, a platform to continue those brilliant and very interesting and highly enriching discussions that we have had today. And just to wrap up very quickly, like 3-4 points from my side, and thank you, Klaus and Nancy, for so far points. I will start with something that was really many times repeated today: the distribution of competences and distribution of power. This is really important when we speak about the local community involvement, that really the say is not only during the meeting, which is the not welcome tokenism approach, but it's really part of the strategy of redistributing the power to the local community, for them for those stakeholders to really have also instruments to implement their activities, to self-govern a lot of initiatives. The second point, leaving no one behind. I think that Nancy, you mentioned community engaged research, and this is exactly this point that I wanted also to highlight. Really, it makes only sense when we are embracing this vast majority of the local community representatives, and we kind of take all of them on board, and we kind of invite them into the process, not for a short-term run or not only for one station, but we rather all embark on that metaphorical train. The third aspect that will lead to my fourth comment is like well-defining keywords, in order not to, what we see elsewhere, not to be only repeating some empty concepts and being self-satisfied that we are just fulfilling that. Oh, participation, yes, ticking the box, we do that, of course. Oh, sustainable tourism, no one can do it better than us. But then if we go deeper, what that really means to your community, and if you are really fulfilling the goals of it, then sometimes it happens to be just a facade, an empty word. And let me conclude with a very short part of that mentioned already article, that it's like defining, in my opinion, very well this connection between the heritage and the community involvement. So I will be very quick. Like, considering the fact that cultural heritage is fundamentally a social construct, it becomes evident that effective heritage management and also towards sustainable tourism should adopt a humanistic and participatory approach. And this approach places individuals at the core of the process, harnessing their actions and creativity. These are also quotes from brilliant minds: Gilmour, Costera, Barańska, Purchla, Schmigen, and Overman. It takes into account the needs of those referred as a recipient and stakeholders, denoting any individual interested in the transmission of heritage who resides and who interacts with the locale. And the final part, for them, the heritage carries intrinsic value and significance. They form part of the community. It identifies specific heritage as the source and embodiment of values, beliefs, knowledge, and traditions that hold profound importance for the particular community. And the last sentence, consequently, it becomes the prerogative, and this we underlined during the discussion in the breakout room, the prerogative of the local community is to delineate the concept of the heritage and actively engage the community in its social rejuvenation and transformation, also towards the sustainable tourism solutions. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Piotr. That important remark. It must not be empty words. It must not be tokenistic participation, but really meaningful participation that take into account the characteristics of the local communities and leave no one behind. Vincent, from NECSTouR, you got the final words for this stakeholder panel, or your key takeaways or call for actions.
Thank you, Patricia. Well, what I will remember from this morning is that maybe also a bit concluding my intro on shared visions, how important it is to have these kind of shared visions and strategies. And what maybe I didn't mention yet, what a great opportunities there are for rural tourism to show relevance and to make great tourism developments there. Many cities are suffering with too many tourists today. We have to dare to say less is more there. With less tourists, you can flourish better, and rural areas might have potential to grow. But of course, there are concerns. We have to do it in the framework of the values of regeneration in the back of our heads and the Sandford principle, nature first, etc. I saw a great presentation of Pia Smets. I want to emphasize because she gave examples that measuring the success of tourism actions, we should look beyond tourism. She said they look at the number of children in kindergarten in school to see if tourism projects work because they have better, bigger communities with more children in the school. I really love that. And it makes me think thriving communities, flourishing communities, thanks to tourism. We have to be humble. Tourism is not the end. Tourism is a means. It's a positive means. And there are many, many other things that make a society work and flourish and thrive. So my call to action would be to keep going and to improve the collaboration on all the levels, EU, national, regional, local, because we have to do it together, not on individual islands. And we have to embrace the request of the Commissioner Tzitzikostas to get the input for the new EU strategy, I think. And to finish, I would say, I think there are great networks on all those levels. European Travel Commission with the nations, the city DNA with many cities, and NECSTouR with the regions. We work together. We have to further improve that because together we can manage, I think, a very bright future for tourism. And to conclude, if there is regional authorities interested in NECSTouR, you can call me.
That's a very good call for actions. Yes, in this, and as we've been saying, we will be happy to keep enable collaboration. There will be the different opportunity that we said. We will circulate all the presentations. You mentioned the one in Pia was in group 3, so those that would not participate in group 3 will have access to all the materials, to the contact details of all the speakers, panelists, etc., and information about the community groups where everybody is welcome. If you are a member of the Rural Pact, or if not, it will take you 1 minute to create the ECAS login and really keep exchanging with peers that have perhaps some challenges, but also opportunities for you. Thank you very much again, Klaus, Nancy, Piotr, Vincent, for your inputs today, but also for the all support behind in preparing this event today. We will be for sure in touch. Before I give the floor to my colleague Pascale, who is going to share the next steps, I put in the chat a link to it's a survey form that is always very useful for us to get the feeling of the session today, for how you found it in terms of exchanges of the projects that have been presented, the overall organization throughout the day, for the moderation, for the agenda prepared exchanges, but also before the event. So how's been also the general communication, the process of the expression of interest, etc. You can either scan the QR code that you see in the screen, or you can click on the link and access it, and it's a rating to be provided, scale 1 if you strongly disagree with all these concepts, or if 4 if you strongly agree. So we are about to finish. I will not dedicate too much time to this, but please, while we wrap up, we will keep it open. So please do not hesitate to go in. I see that there are 20 people already doing. And besides the scale, which is very useful, another part that is also very useful is the written responses, ideas, feedback, yeah, we will try as much as possible to take them into account for future events. I will not take more time with this, but as I said, please, the link is available. We'll put it again in the chat, and do not hesitate to keep going there and rate and share your views. Now, because it's almost time for a lunch break that everybody's wishing for, please, Pascale, if you can tell us what are the next steps after the webinar for the Rural Pact support office site.
Thank you, Patricia, and thank you to all participants from my side as well. So as we mentioned several times during the meeting, the presentations will be available on the website quite shortly, in a couple of days maximum. We are also going to share the participants list so you can continue to network. We are also to display the video recordings of the plenary sessions only, and in a couple of weeks you will get the highlights report as well, which will be available on the website. For the next event, we will organize the second Rural Pact conference on the 16th and 17th of September in a rural area in Belgium. The next good practice webinar, so today we have the tourism webinar, the next one on innovation will be organized on the 22nd of May, so on the same approach that today online, a half day. And the next policy lab is on rural proofing, 12th of June, as well online, and the last one has still to be, I would say, developed in terms of objective, let's say, and it will be the second semester of this year. So there are about 1,700 community platform members. So the community platform, it's about sharing good practices, sharing information. You can connect with peers. We have already mentioned the community group. So if you become a member, you can join the community groups. So there are several activities that you can, I would say, benefit from being on the Rural Pact community platform. I think that Patricia has already shown this slide. And just to tell you, and also to encourage you to become a member. So 44% of the participants do not get the information from the Rural Pact, and 52 of the participants are not yet in the Rural Pact community platform. So please, if you want to learn more about what we are doing, again, we are inviting to register. So this is for me, Patricia.
Thank you very much, Pascale. Again, you will be hearing for us, and because I know there were a lot of resources and a lot of interest in those, we will make sure that everybody is informed when they're all available very soon. And then the last words for today, I would like to give the floor to Haude Blanc from the European Commission, Director General of Agriculture and Rural Development, just to say the farewell words. Haude, please.
Many thanks, Patricia. I would like to thank the Rural Pact Support Office and RURALTOUR for organizing this good practice webinar today on rural tourism. It was really interesting, and I hope you all enjoyed it. I would like also to thank all the speakers for their really great insights and explanations and presentation of projects. And I would also like to thank you all participants for attending this webinar. We hope you enjoyed it, you learned a lot, and that it will encourage you to further act for rural areas and also to join the Rural Pact. So I don't want to keep you away from your lunch break now, but so I would like to wish you a bon appétit and a great afternoon.